Hello, this is Dom here and welcome to my playthrough of Umineko. I genuinely just have no words to describe my opinion of this game, as of where I am while I'm starting to edit this. It's definitely a roller coaster full of me thinking that this might join as one of my favorite things of all time, to being utterly bored, to completely addicted again. I don't know where this journey will take me, and I definitely did not know at the start. So without further ado, with a lot more personal, unfiltered commentary than usual, I welcome you to enjoy this game with me. If you'd like to see more or would like these posted on another channel, leave a comment. And without further ado, let's open the door to Rock and Nijima. The door opens. Am I entering a manor with a rich woman? Story is undoubtedly nothing more than fantasy. It could possibly have... Okay. Japanese. Points finger to warning about things relating to certain events. Japanese! Nippon! Yasha! Yo, we're playing an alcoholic. Two elderly men could be seen in the dimly lit study, which was filled with dust and a sickly sweet stench. In the corner of this room, which was much larger than what most people would call a study, there was an expensive-looking bed, a man undergoing a medical examination, and a physician conducting it. There was also what appeared to be a servant watching over the whole scene. This is the alcoholic. I'm already gonna have trouble tracking these guys. Well, he's quite iconic. He has the bird motif on his design. God, that's the wrong button. I get up every morning. I put my tie on. I put my tie on over my cape, and then shove my tie inside of my coat that is under my cape. So from the fact how neat his outfit is, this man isn't an alcoholic. Our Kinzo, this guy is not an alcoholic. He's a man who gets drunk in the evenings after having a relatively productive day. The man who had bared his chest for the stethoscope spoke unapologetically as he straightened his clothes. Please, the medicine will become useless if you drink alcohol, if you drink so much. And then he stares this doctor in the eyes. He closes his eyes in a somber expression and goes, "Genji, another glass." He might as well be flipping the doctor off at this point. So everybody seemingly of this manor has the bird motif. Nanjo, the man's personal doctor, let out a deep sigh once again as he watched the butler busy himself alongside the liquor cabinet. There was a smell filling up the room. This sweet, poisonous aroma felt as though it melted the heart, if not the soul itself. It was the smell of that venomous green drink that the man couldn't bring himself to part from.
Nanjo, お前は私の長きにわたる親友だ。今日まで私を長らえさせてくれたことを深く感謝する。私は何も医者としての忠告など金蔵さんは全く聞いてくれませんからな。お前とて差し間違えた手を待てと言っても聞かぬではないか。南條。正直に話せ。私の命はあとどの程度持つ？
Is this an inheritance battle royale story?
さて、
どのくらいと申し上げればそのお酒を控えてくれますやら。
Nanjo once again let out a sigh of resignation. As he watched Kinzo down the glass, regardless, he spoke.
長くはありませんな。
どの程度に長くないというのだ。
このチェスで例えましょう。金蔵さんの爪もなかなかですが、私のキングを追い詰めるには至りますまい。
Nanjo's gaze was directed at a side table with a stately chess set placed on top of it. I feel like both of them are in a... No, Black's pieces are not well developed, considering this rook has still not entered the field.
Because if you take the rook the other...
The white king had already been castled and cornered, so that even an amateur could see that the match would reach its conclusion before too long. The white king has not castled. He's there. He has not castled. He's just there. Every time Nanjo came to give a medical examination, both of them would make a few moves. Nanjo was stating with confidence that Kinzo would most likely fall into his eternal sleep before this game could be concluded. These were less the words of a physician than they were the words of an old friend.
普通の患者になら遺言を書くよう勧める頃です。
遺言とはなんだ南條。私の屍をどのように食い散らかせとハゲタカどもに指南する書き置きなのか。
いや、違いますぞ。遺言は意思を残すことだ。遺産分配のことだけを書くものじゃない。
ほう、遺産分配以外に書くこととは何なのか。
心残りややり残し、受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいこと、何でもいいんです。
受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいことだと？バカバカしい。この後ろ宮金蔵、後に残したいことも伝えたいこともただの一つもないわ。裸一貫で生まれた。そして裸一貫で死ぬ。バカ息子どもに残したいものなど何一つないわ。もしも訪れる最後が今日だとしても、今だとしても、私は何も恐れることなくその死の運命を受け入れようではないか。
I do say the words rude as hell at this point, but I feel like I will go, that will bite me in the ass. I genuinely, that will bite me in the ass so hard. I can feel it.
すべてを築き上げた富も名誉もすべてだ。それらは私と共に築き上げられ、私と共に失われよう。後に残してやるものなど何もないわ。何もない。あとは野となれ山となれ。墓も棺も何も望まぬわ。それが魔女と私の契約だ。私が死ぬ時に全てを失う。初めからその約束だからこそ何も残らぬのだ。何も残せぬのだ。
After reaching a furious crescendo, Kinzo suddenly slumped over. His expression was limp and feeble, as though an evil spirit had possessed him, and then left.
だが未練がある。残すものは何一つないが、残したまま行けぬものが
それを書き記せばいい。もちろん生きているうちにこなせればそれでいい。だが万一の時、残されたものがそれを引き継いでくれる。自分に万一があっても必ずその心残りが解決できるように残していく。それが遺言というものです。
When Nanjo tried to gently pat Kinzo's shoulder, the dying man flew into a sudden rage and batted away Nanjo's hand.
ダメだダメだダメだ。私が生きているうちでなくてはならぬ。私は死ねば魂はすぐに契約の悪魔に食らわれて消え去ってしまう。死後の世界も安らぎも私にはないのだ。だから全ては私が生きているうちでなければならぬ。だから遺言状など私には必要ない。
Okay, buddy. I don't want to ride a mill. I hate my children. I have no afterlife.
そのようなものを書く暇があったなら私は見たい。もう一度見たい。ベアトリーチェの微笑む顔がもう一度見たい。はあ、ベアトリーチェ、なぜに私をこれほどまでに拒むのか。今こそお前に与えられた全てを返そう。全てを失おう。だから最後にもう一度だけお前の微笑を見せてくれ。ベアトリーチェ、頼む、交渉だ。聞こえているはずだ。お前はそういう女だ。頼む、姿を見せてくれ。いるんだろう。聞こえていながら姿を消し、今もこの部屋のどこかで私を嘲笑っているのだろ
う。Now, Kinzo, please look me in the eyes and don't tell me that you sold your soul to get a bunch of fortune, to see a bitch smile at you for making a terrible, terrible deal.
ああ、ベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ、この命はくれてやる。お前にくれてやる。5章だ、ベアトリーチェ。
The first day, October 4th, 1986. Oh boy.
へえ、時代ってやつは進歩してんな。たったの20分でついちまったんだから驚いちまうぜ。
I couldn't help but scratch my head and marvel at how far things have come in recent years. We used to go by boat. Back then, we were all forced to endure nearly half a day of swaying back and forth over the sea before we reached Nijima. Things have gotten so much more convenient these days. Still, I've never been on a plane this small. It's going to shake, isn't it?
大丈夫だよ、バトラー君。
Excuse me, our name is Battler. Origins of last names is one of the another interesting aspects. I say this because here quite a few last names are professions, specifically were professions. I don't know if this origin is true or not, but when it became fashionable to have a last name, professions were some of the first things that came to people's minds when they were, making one. That's why you have a literal guy whose last name means hot tub in here. Well, I guess a hot tub maker, but it's one word. I love this language. I don't know if the same is said about other countries, but that's something to look forward to. So Battler is not he does not paint a good picture of what's about to happen to our wonderful, wonderful protagonist over here.
船に比べたら全然揺れは少ないよ。 うわジョージの兄貴かよ。
Oh, last name. It's the same. We call him George Aniki because he's the brother. You look nothing alike except you wear these. They also have the bird iconography somewhere on their clothes. I'm guessing this is supposed to be the family crest.
急に勘弁してくれよ。今ので寿命が3年縮んじまったぜ。つうか、揺れってなんすか？別に俺は飛行機も揺れんのかな、まさか落ちたりしねえかななんて夢にも思っちゃいないぜ。
ごめんごめん。もう小さい頃とは違うよね。あれから6年も経ってるんだし。
His face expression has zero change in him.
じゃあ、兄貴はタバコも酒も OK ってかよ。タバコは興味ねえけど、酒は飲んでみたいよな。
He inherits my liquor closet. Fuck, I wanted the liquor closet. God damn. I was gonna say, he seems very... Well, this is the 1980s. So the whole family dynamic of one son of the family has to be... One son of the rich family has to be budget and management oriented. Is kinda gone. So he's just the businessy type of person. Considering that the grandfather had a fortune, this is supposed to be the second generation inheritor. Umineko is actually a story about how the American company General Electronics failed. The witch's curse was getting that one guy who just decided that it's great for the economy to buy a bunch of companies over and over.
こんだけタッパがありゃ、俺の発育は十分っすから。むしろちょいと身長縮めた方が服が探しやすいくらい。
I relate to that statement. I puffed my chest out proudly. God, I'm gonna have to remember that this is the person I'm fucking monologuing as. Oh. Until I hit my growth spurt, my height was below average in my class. But then, I grew and grew, and before I knew it, I was over 180 centimeters. I guess I have all that muscle training and those shady mail-order performance-enhancing drugs to pack that form. Huh? Damn, I'll bet my relatives all say, "Look how big you've grown, Banner Chad," or something. That kind of thing is really embarrassing. I hope they cut me a break. Anyway, my name is Battler. Well, it's pretty damn very weird, don't you think? Yes, I do think that. Thank you, game. I've got to wonder, what were my parents thinking when they gave me that name? My name is written Japanese characters. Can you read it? First part is my family name, Ushiromiya. That's a fairly plausible Japanese pronunciation so far. The problem is my own name. Japanese letters is made out of the characters for fight and person, and it's pronounced Battler. Fight person. This is my pitbull, Princess, and this is my son, Fight person. Pretty crazy, right? Yes, absolutely. It's crazy enough that my parents decided to call me that, but it's even more crazy that some government worker let them make it official. You know what? You're right. That kid's got some battle in his eyes. Both groups are at the top of my must-kill list. Anyways, this is one of my cousins. His name is Japanese characters, pronounced Ushiromiya George, like Curious George. He's 5 years older than me, so he's probably turning 23 this year. I like how he says probably turning, that is very correct on how you remember relatives' ages. Since the Ushiromiya cousins consist of 2 boys and 3 girls, I ended up playing with George all the time.
しかしバトラ君は大きくなったな。
It's beginning.
やっぱり血かしらね。
Family crest on the arm is a very bold choice.
ルドルフも高校くらいまでは身長そんなになかったのよ。
I was joking about them being general electronics, but what if they're mafia? Now that I look at them like that, now that I give him like a good glance at these people, maybe.
なことないっすよ。男は中身も伴わなくっちゃ。
そうや。バトラ君は分かっとる。男は中身で勝負なんや。常に己の鍛錬を忘れたらあかん。そして虎視眈々とチャンスを待ってドカンと開花させるんや。
Okay, so we named the business-oriented guy George, because George is a curious George. Alright, and then we have another family child, and he's going to be called Battler, because we're going to train him to fucking murder people. Then what are you gonna... What's next? Are you gonna name the daughter fucking Performer? Like, what's happening? Are we going to have social worker Chad?
わしもまさか今日会社社長なんて一国一城の主になれるとは思わんかった。そうや。あの無一文の焼け野原がわしの原点なんや。
If you are part of the family, how did you start off penniless? This portly and slightly chubby man is George Aniki's dad, Uncle Hideyoshi. He's the husband of Dad's older sister. This is a game. This is a book game. Okay, this is the dad of George, our protagonist's dad's brother-in-law. He is also in on the joke of making Battler a killing machine. In other words, we're not blood related. I needed to specify this because of the incoming 5 hours scene. He's nice to children, sociable all the time, even quick to give out some spending money to us kids. Simply put, he's an awesome uncle.
すぐ自分の自慢話に入っちゃうのがたまに傷なのよね。およしなさいな。バトラ君、耳にタコができちゃってるんだから。ねえ。
そんなことねえっすよ。でもいいじゃないっすか。語れる武勇伝があるってのは男としてかっこいいことだと思いますよ。俺なんか語るような話は何もないっすからね。
Right. Immediate shot in the dark. This game is about fate, things that happen, like things that are fated to happen. But it's also about people's perceptions of their own identity. That is why this guy's this main character, and his name is Battler. And he is currently going, I think a man should have some cool stories to tell. Man, this Umineko was the coolest story of my life, says Battler.
あらそう？バトラ君なんかそのルックスでいっぱい女の子を泣かせてそうだからさぞかし武勇伝が多そうだと思ったんだけど。
うわあ、情報弾じゃないっすよ。そんな妙な武勇伝あるわけないじゃない。むしろ紹介してほしいくらいっす。
あら、あるんでしょ武勇伝。おばさんにも後で教えてね。
That's the aunt. Ooh, holy.
ジョージったらそういう浮ついた話が全然ないんだから。
She and Uncle Hideyoshi are a pair of jokers, and they've always teased me back as far as I can remember. Okay, so that's how the two match up. This sometimes made them a bit hard to get along with when I was small. That said, I'm currently in the process of discovering that they still are hard to get along with. Even so, George Aniki's family is interesting and fun, and they seem to get along just fine. Sheesh. It's pretty much the total opposite of my family.
バトラ君
I will pause immediately. I absolutely love this introduction. This is doing a very good job of making me immediately like all of the characters.
ルドルフさんを見なかった？
Rudolph? Reindeer? He's gonna be pulling the sleigh?
あ、さっきお手洗いに行くのを見ましたけど、まだ出てこないんすか？こりゃぽっくりいっちまったかな。ナムナムナムナム。
自分のお父さんにそんな言い方はないでしょ？
Is this his mother? Why are the old people styling so hard? This is interesting. He has a cross zipper. She has a cross tie. Maybe the branches of the family have like a design detail motif, according to their relation.
まあ、あの人のお手洗いが長いのは今に始まったことじゃないしね。
ああ、アンニャルは昔っからそうです。雑誌持ってトイレに入るのやめてほしいんすよね。何の雑誌持ち込んで何をしてんだか。
あら、そんな心配は全然不要よ。私と一緒にいる以上、そんなこと一人でさせやしないもの。
I don't need to know that, Mom.
何の話か、後でじっくり聞きたいっすね。
I guess I need to know that, Mom.
親父め、玉まで握られてグーの音も出ないわけだ。
握っとかないとどういうことになるか、よーくわかってるでしょ？
いやいや、まったく。あのクソ親父の手綱は、キリエさんにしか無理っすよ。実の息子の俺も、喜んで譲っちゃいますわ。
ええ、任せてちょうだい。そういうの、
得意なのよ。
This woman is my dad's wife. As you can probably tell from our conversation, she's not my real mother, yep. She's basically my stepmother. My real mom died 6 years ago. Kirei-san is the woman dad married afterwards. I mean, I'm not a kid anymore. It's way too late now for me to start calling his second wife Mom. And I doubt she feels like using the word son on this massive kid who's with no relation to her at all. We aren't little kids. We know there's nothing to be gained from fighting. So we decided that we wouldn't force ourselves to pretend that we were family. I've decided to act a bit more frank with her, as though she's a friendly neighbor instead. It's much easier to just keep a little distance instead of forcing ourselves to act all close and making each other uncomfortable. Kirei-san has been very open about all this, and thanks to that, we've been able to get along pretty well. In the fact that I already like how this is written, this is very competently written, so I need to keep like my horizons open and not focus on one thing. These two also have a relationship that is kind of focused on their perception of what they should be doing and how they should be doing, which is honestly very nice, very wholesome. I like these two. These two are great. I fucking hate this man. They both have a cross motif on them. He doesn't, even if he's the father, so my guess was wrong.
バトラ
なんだよ、親父。
Honestly, this is the kind of guy who would name his son Battler.
耳つねんな、耳。
また母さんと俺の悪口を言ってたろう。なんでお前には父親に対する尊敬の念ってやつがわかねえんだ。
Okay, because of the sprite going forward, I thought he just grabbed Battler by the balls, okay? I just...
ほれほれ、縦縦横横丸書いて逆に回して倍率どんどんさらに2倍。お父様、失礼なこと言ってごめんなさいって言ってみろ。
冗談じゃねえぜ。そういうのは会員制のお店でやりやがれってんだ。だから話せって。
This old bastard is my dad. It's probably no surprise that Auntie Eva started talking about Dad's blood when she saw my height. By the way, my height isn't the only thing I got from him. It seems having weird names runs in the family. Dad's full name is written Japanese letters. Can you read it? Not many could, I'll tell you that. That mess of characters is pronounced Rudolph. He must hate grandfather for giving him that name. Still, that's no reason to pass that weird naming tradition on to me. As the old bastard twisted my ear all over the place, Auntie Eva snuck up behind him and grabbed his ear.
こらこらルドルフ息子に乱暴してるんじゃないわよ。
言ってよ姉貴。
エヴァ姉さん、そのくらいにしてあげてください。同じ分、後で反対の耳を私が引っ張って伸ばしておきますので。
あら、ごめんなさいね。キリエさんの引っ張る分も残しておかなくっちゃ。ルドルフ、後でたっぷりキリエさんにお仕置きしてもらいなさいね。
たく、姉貴こそ弟いじめもいいとこだぜ。
What about me? What about me, the son?
秀吉兄さんもこんな姉貴を拾ってくれて本当にありがとうございます。兄さんの寛大さがなかったら今でもまだ売れ残ってますよ。
After taking 2 or 3 steps back, Auntie Eva unleashed one of her beautiful high reverse roundhouse kicks, which stopped a centimeters away from the tip of Dad's nose. After starting out with Tai Chi Chuan for her figure, Auntie Eva had then developed an interest in the Chinese martial arts. She went through karate, taekwondo, capoeira, and what is it she's learning now again? Well, anyways, they say a woman's weapons are in her lower body. That's literally true for Auntie Eva.
わしには兄弟がおらん。だからエヴァとルドルフ君のじゃれ合いを見とると胸がポカポカしてくるんや。兄弟や家族はほんまにええもんやな。
It sure is nice to have a big family and siblings. And being rich as well. Grandpa? What do you mean the bitch is going to take all of our money? You know, terrible accidents happening one after the other where we slowly lose everything. Grandpa? What did you do, Grandpa? What do you mean your soul cannot exist in the afterlife?
そうそう。それよりお宅のエンジェちゃんはどんな具合なの？吐いちゃったって聞いたけど。
そうやそうや、久しぶりに顔が見れると思って期待してたんやで。大丈夫なんか？
いつも季節の変わり目に風邪をひくんです。どうも弱くって。本当は連れてきたかったんですけど、今回は私の実家に面倒見てもらっています。
それが賢明よ。本家の毒気に当てない方が治りは早いもの。大人の都合より子供の病気の方が大事よ。ちょっと天気が怪しいものね。
Auntie Ava was looking at a TV in the lounge. The weather forecast was being broadcast, informing us that a typhoon was approaching the Kanto region.
また台風か。親族会議が毎年10月ってんじゃ。
Everybody's gonna be locked inside during a typhoon after grandfather's death.
いい年した女がはしたないことばっかしてんじゃねえぜ。
Okay, so this is where he inherited his men and women should be a certain way.
普段は父親や母親として振る舞っていても、こうして親族会議で元の兄弟に出会うと、子供の頃の自分に戻っちゃうからだろうね。
と、冷静に分析できるジョージ兄貴の方がずっと大人に見えるぜ。俺は将来、あんなクソ親父みたいにはなりたくないね。なるなら、兄貴みたいな知的な大人になりたいもんだぜ。
僕かい？僕なんかまだまださ。社会経験が全然足りないし、社交性も度胸も足りない。バトラ君にはそれらのいくつかがすでにあるように思うよ。だからきっと成人したら僕なんかすぐに追い抜いちゃうさ。
George Haneke scratched his head and laughed, as though trying to hide his embarrassment. Of course, he was just being humble. Haneke entered the university and became an apprentice at Uncle Hideyoshi's company at the same time, studying both academics and how to become a business emperor in parallel. Then, right after graduating, he got into Uncle Hideyoshi's company as his father's aide, piling up a lot of real-life experience as he devoted himself zealously to his work. I forgot that this is Japan. When I said it is the 1980s. The idea of the man that inherits the company and has to learn and is smart and has to manage things is old and archaic. I forgot that we're in Japan, where nothing is old and archaic. He even has grand dreams of one day standing on his own and becoming the lord of his own domain. Haneke is a real paragon of a man, sparing no effort as he strives towards his goal. It's no exaggeration to say that I really respect him. And then there's me. I'm nothing at all like Haneke. I'm living my happy-go-lucky idle high school life to the max. I've got no dreams for the future. I just like to sit back, stay cool, and let the money flow in. But of course, that could never happen. When Haneke was my age, he had already formed an impressive objective and started devoting himself towards studying for that goal, so I guess I can't compare at all. My dad just says, sure, you can study at my company if you like cleaning toilets. Damn it. I'm not gonna be in the debt of that old bastard. I'll find my way myself. So seemingly the dad has riches, but the children, as far as we know, don't seem to be leeching off of it. Because he says my company. This is a log moment. Uncle Hideyoshi's company. So working for his own father. Yep. He started his own business. We have no context on his business here.
Oh!
Write down, Uncle Hideyoshi shouted out loudly. Uncle's a really nice person on the whole, but he does have a problem controlling the volume of his voice. When I looked over, I saw that he was greeting Auntie Rosa, who had come in late.
Oh! Rosa さんやないか。マリアちゃん、久しぶりやの。
久しぶり。
What the fuck is wrong with you? Hold on. Me King Piece, me child with King Piece headband.
マリア、お久しぶりです。でしょ？言ってごらん。お久しぶりです。
そうや。よく言えたな。ご褒美に飴玉あげような。おっと、あれ、どこにしまったんや。
A very sanctuous designed outfit. Is sanctuous even a word? Okay, so a swan on the design next to the wing. So some sort of idea of purity, and I'm guessing with that purity comes authority.
ご無沙汰してます、キリエ姉さん、秀吉兄さんと。あら、
But my smile goes so wide. My smile goes so wide, she's about to hit him. Oh my god, how tall?
大きくなったわね。
Yeah!
去年よりもずっと成長したと思いますよ。今年で9歳でしたっけ？
歳。
そうだね。9歳だね。マリアちゃんも元気そうでよかった。よいしょ。もう高い高いをするにはちょっと重くなってきたかな。
うわ、ジョージ兄貴、そりゃレディーに失礼だろ。俺がやってやるぜ。高い高い。
I went to lift her up in Aniki's place. Maria stiffened defensively, staring suspiciously at my face. The child hates him. Ah, that's right. The last time I met Maria, it was 6 years ago. She was only 3 years old. Of course she doesn't remember my face.
マリアちゃん、覚えてる？バトラ君よ。一緒に遊んでもらったの忘れちゃった？
無理だろ。最後にバトラと会ったのは3つの時だぜ。3つの時の記憶なんか。
She must know everyone's face apart from mine because she met them every year. But I haven't had contact with the Ushiromiya family for about 6 years now. Why? Everybody's on good terms and happy to see him, but he hasn't been with them for 6 years.
マリアちゃん、彼はバトラ君、僕と同じいとこだよ。
庄司お兄ちゃんと同じバトラいとこ。
そう。
I wish he had a sound effect which is like the light bulb turning on like ding.
おや、俺がバトラだ。
俺がバトラ。
よろしくな、マリア。
こらマリア、呼びつけちゃダメでしょ。バトラお兄ちゃんと呼びなさい。
いいっすよ、ローザおばさん。細かいことは気にしないっすから。まあマリア、俺とお前は名前を呼びつけ合う仲だもんな。
バトラバトラバトラ。
おや、マリアマリアマリア。
We horsed around for a while to make up for the 6-year gap in our friendship. She probably still thinks of me as nothing more than a big new friend. But things will probably work out as we get to know each other again. But I'm surprised. She's just the way I remember her being 6 years ago. Seems that people just don't change that much after all. I would say 9-year-olds are still, you know, young and small. I'm trying to think, where would a breakpoint at a person's age be where they change? I'm a bit happy that she's still the pure innocent girl I remember, not ruined by this entire family's focus on business and the economy. Her name is written Japanese character. That one's not so difficult to read. Of course, it says Maria. The first character looks like a cross, which is pretty cool. Please don't fucking tell me. Please don't fucking tell me. He has this because it's cool. He thinks crosses are cool. Then there's Maria's mother, Auntie Rosa. She's my dad's younger sister. Rosa is written Japanese characters. Here's a name that's totally not Japanese. Sorry to say it, but her name is almost as ridiculous as Dad's. I've got to respect her for not ending up as screwed up as he is. When I think about it, all the names in my family sound foreign. Just why is grandfather so obsessed with this? Because of him, even us grandchildren have to put up with this weird naming sense. It's even more annoying since grandfather's own name is perfectly normal. Anyway, there's one thing about Auntie Rosa that is a relief compared to other family members. The old bastard and Auntie Ava have this annoying urge to tease and mock people all the time. But even though she shares their blood, Auntie Rosa isn't like that at all. She has the most common sense amongst all the siblings. Unlike Uncle Hideyoshi, she's a kind aunt who'll always be on the kid's side. However, possibly because she's more strict as a parent, she's not liberal with handing out spending money like Uncle Hideyoshi is. Once all of us cleared the check, we followed the staff member onto the runway. Rich man, inheritance, big manor, typhoon coming, metal detector check. Is this a murder mystery? Am I going to enjoy my time in like a murder mystery? So she came in without her husband. She's their fourth child, by far the youngest of the 4 siblings. Seems that this gives her a weaker position in the family conference. Parents design the company, but she has yet to start taking it seriously. His financial situation is far from favorable. Husbandless, divorced. I'm going to take a guess. Her father's identity is unknown. She has no interest in studying or making friends, but is very interested in things concerning the occult and black magic. And thanks to her excellent powers of memorization, she knows all kinds of books. Turn the page back. Occult and black magic. What do you mean?
やっぱ船だよな。船。
落ちるマリア、もういい加減になさい。でも意外ね。バトラ君、てっきり怖いものなしだと思ってたから。
こいつ昔から乗り物がなぜかダメでさ。二言目には落ちるだの沈むだの。
Is being scared of planes really such a big deal? Everyone obviously thinks I'm a big oaf now. This is good now. I have lowered their guard. It is like the inheritance money shall be mine. As we arrived at the pier where the boat to the island was anchored, we saw a silhouette waving its hand.
ジョージ兄さん、お久しぶりだぜ。
いやー、ジェシカちゃん、1年ぶりだね。
Okay, so Jessica's school uniform, the emblem is also on the arm.
せ、また伸びたんじゃないかい？
よしてくれよ。毎年言われんのは恥ずかしいぜ。
Battler points to her. She gets it. She gets it.
おいおい兄貴、嘘だろ。こいつが本当にジェシカなのかよ。
ってことはジョージ兄さん、このデカブツバトラーなのかよ。
She definitely didn't look this grown up in my memories, but I do remember her crazy way of talking.
いいよ、ジェシカ。なんだよお前。嘘だろ。なに女みたいな格好してんだよ。なんだよこれ、胸かよ。お前にも胸なんかできたのかよ。もませろもませろ。
I don't know why do I, get this impression that I will sit down and I will read a non-eroge visual novel from the land of the sun, Japan. It is going to be a little bit normal this time. I keep falling for the same trap. I genuinely question. This isn't my first. Well, this feeling of weirdness probably comes from the fact that the last thing I read was Paranormal Site, the second Paranormal Site game, which is, to be fair, very tame in comparison to this already. There's also a question, why do I look at the Monogatari series and kind of clap my hands? I just go, yo, some of these interactions are how I interacted with gals and buds in high school. Look at this shit. And now I'm just sitting here like, this is weird. Maybe because they're cousins. Who knows?
ふざけやがれ。私は花も恥じらう18だぜ。髪だって伸びりゃ出るとこだって出るぜ。てめえにもませる胸なんざあるもんかい。バトラこそなんだよ。バカみてえに図体だけでかくなりやがって。知った腕力ついたのか？
ざけんじゃねえ。あれからどれだけ鍛錬積んだか思い知らせてやんぜ。
うぜえぜ。返り討ちだ。
This has strong girl's name is Ushiramiya, Japanese characters. She was born under the same unlucky star as me, sharing the same kind of weird name. You see, Japanese characters is pronounced Jessica. She is Dad's older brother's daughter. That older brother happens to be the eldest son of the Ushiramiya family. So I guess that also technically makes Jessica the direct heir to the Ushiramiya family. Yeah, but oldest and she's 18. Okay. Jessica and I are the same age and had that type of boy and girl rivalry between us. We've always been used to fighting and joking around together whenever the relatives gathered. Jessica grew more quickly, so she always had me beat in the terms of size and physical strength. So when we scuffled as a contest of strength like this, it usually went Jessica's way. So even though I clearly understand that I'm bigger now, I still feel like I can't win against Jessica with my strength. Your name is Battler, you must live up to it. Beat up the woman. Honestly, I was so surprised at how feminine Jessica had become that I had to seriously horse around to hide it. Well, yeah, considering what a bossy brat she was 6 years ago, anyone would be surprised. Buddy, I can't believe he swings cousin ward. 6 years. Once again, I'm being shown just what a huge gap of time that was.
やれやれ。乾杯だぜ。こりゃもう私じゃかなわねえな。
そんなことないよ。バトラ君にもきっと弱点はあるよ。ね、マリアちゃん。
マリアそれは内緒にしような
これははあバトラさんも大きくなりまして。
バトラ君覚えてるかい？ほらお手伝いの熊沢さんだよ。
熊沢のばあちゃんは忘れねえぜ。何しろこの6年ちっとも老けちゃいねえぜ。むしろ若返ったんじゃねえの
最近はお肌がピチピチしてきちゃってほら胸もますますに大きくなっちゃいましたんですよ。揉んでみます。
ご冗談
Deserved base grandma. The jokes I'd cracked about Jessica were being used against me. Deservedly. Come to think of it, she always was the type to tease people.
おいおいよせよ熊沢さん。監獄に半分足突っ込んだ人がはしゃいじゃいけねえぜ。
若い方とじゃれるのが何よりの若返りの薬ですよ
熊沢さんが迎えに来るなんて珍しいじゃない。どういう風の吹き回しかしら。用事を頼まれるといつも腰痛になるあなたが
エヴァ様は相変わらず手厳しゅうござい。急なお買い物がありましたもので、そのついでに皆様のお迎えをしようと思いまして。
So the grandfather cannot be dead. The servants would not be like, oh, I had something to pick up. I am so happy. Does the grandfather's hate of the children and the children's hate of the grandfather go both ways? Maybe he wrote in his will that, like, in my funeral, everybody will be having a break dance party. Well, I'd rather not say it, but old Kumasawa Ba-chan may be past her prime as a servant. She might act as though she's in good health, but between her headaches and the lumbago, her body is wearing out. Tell the truth, the very fact that she's still working is impressive. How old is she this year again? She must be pushing 80 by now. It's incredible that she's still able to act so brightly.
ますますにお元気なようで。そうだこれ、前に話してたお茶です。ほら、買ってきました。後で飲んでみてください。
Auntie Rosa showed her the souvenir bag she'd taken out of her suitcase. To think that she had remembered the promise that she had apparently made last year and faithfully brought it. Sort of thoughtfulness was just like Auntie Rosa. She wasn't the kind of person who would forget or break a promise. Let's quickly, like, overlook the list of characters, I guess? Occult and Black Magic. I don't want to think about you, Battler. Yo, Rosa was actually this child is her and Carlo, whatever the grandma, the witch. Rosa and the witch are girlfriends, that's my theory, and this is their child. This woman is Kumasawa Chiyosa. She's a senior servant who's been working for the Ushiramiya head house for many years. As you could expect from someone her age, she isn't that good at manual labor, but from kitchen work to cleaning and laundry, she's a kind of super servant who can handle just about anything. It seems like her only flaw is a tendency to slack off. I heard she tries to get away from heavy or troublesome work by playing up her chronic diseases. In Kumasawa Ba-chan's case, maybe we should call it a sort of lazy craftiness. Though, it probably doesn't impress those paying her salary. Well, even if she's flaky when it comes to work, I could never dislike her. I guess that's probably because of her cheerfulness and her constant smile.
それにしても、ジェシカちゃんはますます美人になったな。夏日姉さんに似てよかったぜ。
そうですか？私的には全然似てないつもりなんですけど。つうか、親には似たくないです。尊敬してないんで。
こら、そんなこと言っちゃダメよ。それにしても、親に似たくないって言ってる人が多いわね。
あ、それ俺。
It's amazing how many people don't want to be like their parents and their family. Oh, that's me.
何言ってんのよ。呆れるくらいそっくりよ。あなたもお父様もね。
おいおい、そりゃねえだろ。俺のどこが親父に似てるってんだ。
傲慢で偉そうなところとかそっくりよ。あんたと兄さんは特にお父様の血が強いわね。ねえローザ。
まったく。クラウス兄さんもルドルフ兄さんも信じられないくらいお父様にそっくり。
Hello, this is summary and post-commentary Dom here. I'll pop in from time to time, well, quite a lot for the remainder of this first episode, to speed us along a little. The old fishing boat that White Person thought they'd be taking is long decommissioned. Now the family takes a heavily modded boat that can reach 40 knots, all cause a man got mysteriously beaten in a race by a fishing boat going 40 knots. And as expected, Battler absolutely shits the bed while being driven via an overly fast boat, becoming the laughingstock of the family, till Aunt Rosa asks the driver to slow down. With that out of the way, Battler tries to change the topic of discussion away from him.
ああ、ジェシカ、クラウスおじさんと夏日おばさんは元気なのかよ。
親父とおふくろ？残念ながら元気だぜ。二言目には勉強しろ勉強しろってうるせえけどよ。秀吉おじさんとかルドルフおじさんとかそういうこと言わなそうだから羨ましいぜ。
とんでもない。僕も受験を控えてた頃はいっつも受験受験って言われてたよ。うるさくも思ったけど今は感謝してるよ。
はあ、やっぱりジョージ兄貴は人間ができてるな。ちなみにうちは絶賛放任中だからな。なんにも言われないぜ。まあ言われたって聞かねえけどな。
バトラさんはまだご実家には戻られておられないのですか？
うん。まあちょくちょく戻るようには。まだ服とかだいぶ前の家に残してるんで。
So he hasn't lived in the house for 6 years, but he does occasionally return. Why 6 years? He's 18/17 right now. 18 can't drink. For 6 years, that means he was 12 years old once he left the household.
バトラ、お家が2つある？
まあな。
どうしてお家が2つ？
Only Maria, who couldn't really grasp the situation, voiced her naive question. However, the others just shot nervous glances at me, choosing not to respond, even though they knew the answer.
マヤ！ほら、船着き場が見えてきたぜ。ほら、あれ。見えるか？船着き場見えた！船着き場見えた！
Apparently, Jessica wasn't trying to be nice by changing the subject. So our relationship with our parents, like, a different home. Because the relationship with the parents doesn't seem to be bad, but why a different home from such an early age? I know, I have no guesses as of now. It's a subject that is uncomfortable to most. Well, I'd rather not talk about it if I can help it, but it's uncomfortable to have it treated as some kind of weird taboo. I don't mind that much myself anymore. I am a Noshiramiya. But the truth is, for the past 6 years, I've been living with my grandparents on my late mother's side, and I've even been using her family name. When those grandparents passed away one after the other, I basically had no choice except to go back and live with the old bastard. Don't get me wrong, I didn't just run away from home or anything like that. The only one at fault here is my dad. Don't really blame Kiryu-san. Being able to hold that old bastard's reins and ride him out is no mean feat. But as for the betrayal that the old bastard inflicted on my mom, well, unfortunately, I still haven't fully gotten over that. Okay, some respect for Battler, even if he's been wronged by this family, these people in his life, he still decides to keep in contact and make the best of it. Very nice. Very, very, very mature.
失礼しました。年寄りが余計なことを言ってしまったようで、お気に障りましたら。
気にもしてないし、触ってもないぜ。気にすんなよ、熊沢のばあちゃん。
Kumasawa-san seemed to regret speaking out of turn, but I was more concerned about being worried over for something like that, so I stood up and passed it off lightly. After that, I had a sip of my drink and headed over to Maria and Jessica, who were gazing at the silhouette of the island.
どれどれ。おお、見えてきたな。6年ぶりでも記憶と寸分変わらない島影。
The small Iceland silhouette in front of us had gotten pretty close. The island's name is Nijima. Only the Oshiramiya family lives there, and only people connected to the Oshiramiya family come and go there. There's nothing there except a harbor and a mansion. The vast majority of the island is still just uncultivated forests. Such a waste, and it could be made into a nice golf course. However, when you realize that the entire coastline is a private beach, it starts to sound pretty magnificent. You might have realized it by now, but to put it simply, well, the Ushuramiya family is just rolling in the dough. The fortune possessed by the head house is apparently vast, and Dad and the others who make up the branch families have built up plenty of wealth for themselves, finding success in their respective businesses. I've been living a commoner's life at my grandparents' home these 6 years, so I'd completely forgotten. But the old master's house really is elegant, and everything about it turned to match the snobbish taste of the annoyingly rich. Come to think of it, I guess that means George Haneke's Jessica, Maria, and I are wealthy, high-class gentlemen and ladies. Needless to say, none of us feel that way at all. I don't see myself as being rich, and George Haneke, who takes self-discipline very seriously, doesn't let himself get too comfortable. Jessica is always complaining that she'd rather move to the city than be rich. And Maria is still a kid who isn't even interested in money at all. I guess that attitude itself is snobbish. From the perspective of people in poverty who can't pay the bills, we're very lucky to even have the luxury of thinking this way. This isn't the place to explain any further, so I won't. Anyway, it's the same as not being able to choose the parents you're born from. I didn't ask to be born into a rich family, and I don't think it's something I should be hated for. It can be pretty trying when people are prejudiced against you just because you're rich and refuse to judge you by your merits. As I pondered these sentimental thoughts, Maria leaned over the railing and started shouting.
ない。どうしたんだよ、マリア。何か落としちゃったのか？
Maria kept yelling, "Gone, gone." From her words alone, you would think she perhaps dropped something, but she was actually pointing out toward the ocean as she shouted.
どうしたの？何がないんだい？僕も探してあげるよ。何？
If she dropped something, she would probably have looked down at the floor, but Maria was pointing out over the ocean. One would assume that she had seen something over the ocean, but she kept saying that something was gone. Strange. However, since my last memories of this place came from 6 years ago, I was able to spot it before Aniki, who comes here every year.
確かさ、この辺の小さい岩の上に鳥居みたいなのがなかったっけ？そうだ、確かにあったぜ。島に近づいてくると最初に迎えてくれる目印みたいなもんだったからよく覚えてるぜ。
へえ、バトラすごいじゃねえか。6年ぶりなのによく覚えてるもんだぜ。
あったね。僕も思い出したよ。鎮守の社と鳥居みたいなものが岩の上にポツンと立ててあ、そういえばないね。
No more shrine. The Iceland has lost all religion. Everybody hailed the witch.
大方、波か何かでさらわれちまったんだろ。小さい岩だったしな。だいぶ風化で脆くなってたんだろうさ。
私もそうだと思って亡くなっちゃったのはこの夏のことなんだよ。
ある晩に大きな稲妻が落ちてお社を砕いてしまったんだとか。
Okay, buddy. Okay, stop right there.
鎮守様に落雷があるなど、これは不吉の兆しに違いないと。くわばらくわばら。
Kumasawa smiled impishly as if teasing us, rubbing her hands together. However, Maria was apparently taking it seriously. She stared fixedly over the ocean to where the crag enshrined the local guardian deity was supposed to be.
不吉の兆し。
9-year-old loves the occult.
よせよ、熊沢さん。マリアはそういう冗談の通じない年頃なんだからさ。
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。偶然だよ。何も怖いことなんか起きないよ。
George Aniki puts a hand on Maria's shoulder to calm her down, but Maria's sharp-eyed expression didn't budge.
不吉、不吉。
Maria muttered that word over and over. Apparently, repeating a single word over and over is a habit that Maria's had for a long time. However, since the word she was saying was quite literally ominous, it was a bit creepy.
おいおい、マリア、そんなに何度も繰り返してたら 本当に不吉がやってきちまうぜ。
不吉来る。
来るってどこからさ。
I answered lightheartedly, trying to break the tension in the air. And in reply, Maria held up a finger, raised her arm high, and pointed up to the heavens. When I looked up, I saw that the sky was still just as cloudy, but had grown a great deal more leaden than it had been this morning. That's right, they were saying that a typhoon was approaching. We had planned to spend one night on the island, but if this storm doesn't pass quickly, I won't be able to make it to school on Monday. Well, I guess it makes for a pretty good excuse to be absent. She apparently sensed something ominous in this cloudy sky. She's been muttering for a while now. Girls at Maria's age tend to be very impressionable. She's just about the age when many girls start to get excited about sixth senses and whether they have any psychic potential and stuff. In a way, being sensitive about things like this isn't really out of the ordinary for a kid like her. Personal anecdote, I also... there's a lot of stories about me specifically when I was a kid of having weird reactions to stuff where there was nothing. There's this little town here, which is like filled with rocks. It has a rock park and a rock museum, and it's a pretty place. There's like a wooded park with large rocks driven from everywhere, and like very cool art made using said rocks. So when my parents went there with me, like when I was a little child, I was sitting in the back of the car, and then they wanted to step out of the car to go and walk in the park, and like next to the walkway, or like right in the middle of it, there was a path around it, and there was a big rock, and my ass saw something behind the rock, and I did not want to go. I legitimately just said, no, there's something there, I don't want to go. And I was sitting there in the car like, nope, not going, nah. I did also have auditory hallucinations as a child for quite a while going to sleep. I'm trying to think when was the last time I had like an auditory hallucination, because it wasn't that rare into like my teenage years and late teenage years as well. I would just on occasion, you know, the classic your brain goes, like, there's somebody calling your name. And you go, oh, what? That, yeah. But to be fair, the auditory hallucinations when I was a kid were way worse, because again, they happened before sleep. I would like lean my head on a pillow, close my eyes, and then I would hear words and cries coming from the pillow. It's awesome. Fucking cool. Thanks, brain. Thanks, brain, for being like this. Like, awesome. Maybe it was actually paranormal all along. Who knows? Either way, I'm plausibly not haunted now. The ghosts are scared of my daily routine.
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。天気は今夜くらいには崩れるかもしれないけど、明日には良くなって綺麗な青空になってるよ。
綺麗な青空。
そう。明日になれば綺麗な青空になるよ。止まない雨はないし、晴れない雲だってない。
止まない雨。晴れない雲。
確かに台風が近づいてるけどよ、すぐに過ぎちまうって。大丈夫さ、マリア。
Okay, yeah, siphon your energy, psychic child. Anyway, it's so fucking funny. It's so funny. The witch just goes, your riches, they'll all be gone. And then she fucking just strikes the house with lightning and it explodes. Maria started yelling, ooh. It looked like as though she was having a tantrum because no one could understand what she was trying to say. What in the world is Maria trying so desperately to warn us about? Never-ending typhoon. Unable to understand her, we could do nothing but feel a vague sense of foreboding. I've heard that everyone can feel the supernatural, but it weakens as you age. That might mean that Maria, the youngest one of all of us, still possesses some kind of sense that the rest of us have lost. I wonder if that sense is sending her a warning. At that moment, Kumasawa-san quietly opened her mouth.
なんでも六軒島はその昔。
熊沢さん、その話はなしにしようぜ。
Just as Kumasawa was about to tell some kind of story, Jessica sharply interrupted her. For Jessica, this was an extremely firm reaction. I wanted to push her further, just out of simple curiosity, but judging by how Jessica was acting, it wasn't difficult to imagine that it would simply inflame Maria's unease further. If I did try to press her for the story, the odds were pretty good that it wouldn't be anything bright and cheery.
それは申し訳ございません。ここの風は年寄りには応えますんで、ちょっと失礼させていただきます。
Gossipers have no reason to hang around after they've been told to stop chatting. When Kumasawa-san finally realized that she'd overstepped her bounds, she went back inside the boat. Maria had probably come to the conclusion that no one was going to listen to her. She hung her head, wearing a fretful face. And she did. Georgianiki crouched down to meet her eyes and spoke to her kindly.
マリアちゃん、何も怖くないよ。だって、僕たちが一緒だもの。一緒だと何も怖くないんだよ。言ってごらん。
一緒だと何も怖くない。
うん、一緒だと何も怖くない。
そうさ、ジョージの兄貴の言う通りだぜ。俺たちが一緒にいると、いつだって何だって絶対に怖くねえんだ。な、ジェシカ。
ああ、間違いないぜ。ジョージ兄さんの言うことはいつも本当だよ、マリア。
ジョージお兄ちゃんはいつも本当。
うん、僕は嘘をつかないよ。だから信じて。みんなと一緒にいれば何も怖くないんだよ。
Good that they're giving all of the characters first death flags. I know, I've seen scenes like throughout my long life as an anime fan, I've seen scenes from the other one. I've seen scenes from Higurashi. I know how this goes.
ジョージお兄ちゃんは嘘をつかない。信じる。みんなと一緒にいれば怖くない。
George lies for her safety. She goes, "You lie!" Fucking Full Metal Alchemist clap down on the ground. I hex you, motherfucker, I hex you. I'm sorry. Ooh, motherfucker, I hex you. Ooh, motherfucker, I hex you. The harbor was already drawing near. The screen finally stopped shaking. It's time for an ad break. Do you want early access to videos, or decisions whether more of this should be posted at all? Well, look no further than my Patreon or YouTube memberships. They both literally get the same thing. There's the advertisement. Time to continue. A large man in a tuxedo was waiting there for us with a warm smile. I didn't recognize his face, but judging by his clothes, I guess he was a servant of the Oshirami head household.
お嬢様、お帰りなさいませ。だいぶ遅かったので心配しておりました。
心配ありがとう。バトラのやつが怖がっちゃってよ。それで徐行運転だったってわけ。マジでうぜえぜ。
うるせえ。いつか逆の立場になったら覚えてろ。
At this rate, word will spread to the whole family, and I'll be the biggest conversation piece during dinner. Even without this, everyone would be talking about me because of that 6-year gap. But now I've given them an even juicier topic. Damn it! Why does the Oshirami head family have to live on this isolated island?
皆様、長旅お疲れ様でした。奥様、お手をどうぞ。
ありがとう。お久しぶりね。ゴーダさんもお元気？
ありがとうございます。おかげさまで毎日元気にお勤めをさせていただいております。
バトラ君はゴーダさんとは初対面じゃない？確か6年前はお勤めじゃなかったですよね。
はい。ですので、バトラ様とは初めてご挨拶させていただきます。はじめまして、バトラ様。
Imagine if Battler is just a misspelling and his name was Butler because his mom cheated with Butler. Out of spite, I will name you Butler.
あんた相変わらず大した接客のプロや。もし食に困ったらいつでもわしいつでも雇ったろ。
これは身に余る光栄です。どうぞお手を、秀吉様。
Goda-san then lent a hand to everyone as they disembarked, greeting them as they passed. His speech and mannerisms had the refined polish of a professional. He was very grateful in contrast with his initially tough-looking appearance. His large size made him seem a bit scary at first, but he was much more polite than my first impression had led me to believe. He claimed to have served on the island for 2 years, but he had doubtless worked at a similar job somewhere before. After everybody disembarked, the mooring rope was untied and the boat started to steer away from the harbor. It was probably returning to its home port on Nijima. The captain waved his hand in farewell. Maria conscientiously waved her hand back.
なんだかさっきから違和感があると思ったらあれだな。海猫の声を聞いてないぜ。
海猫？鳥のか？
If I remember correctly, whenever we came to this island in the past, the seagulls always greeted us with their lively "yeah, rah" cries. That's close enough, actually, close enough to how seagulls sound. Because of that, whenever I hear the cries of seagulls anywhere else, I get the feeling that I'm coming to a family conference. You fucking idiot. There is a typhoon coming. Of course they're not here. Except for the small part of the island where those of the Oshiromiya head family live. Nijima has been left uncultivated, which apparently makes it a paradise for wild birds. Supposedly there was a cliff somewhere that housed a huge seagull colony, so this island was always full of seagulls. Not having those seagulls here to greet us made me feel a bit lonely.
焼き鳥じゃない。シェシカお姉ちゃんが焼き鳥にしたんじゃない。
違う。私はそんなことしないって。ほら、バトラも嘘だったって認めろよ。
バトラ君、マリアちゃんは素直な子だから、そういう冗談でも真に受けちゃうんだよ。
I'm staring George in the eyes and being like, but that's what makes it funny. Lying to kids and then believing it for 5 years is the funniest thing ever.
おう、ありあり。マリア、今のは冗談だ。海猫たちは今日は素でおとなしくしてるってさ。
バトラは嘘。ジョージお兄ちゃんは本当？
Had she actually been tricked despite all the fun she was having? Her pure eyes made me feel guilty. Maybe I went a little overboard with her after all.
ああ、そうだそうだ。ジョージ兄貴が言ったのが天気が悪いんで今日は引き上げたんだろうよ。いなくなったわけじゃないんだぜ。ね、おばさん。
そうよ。明日以降天気が良くなったらきっと戻ってきてミャーミャーと声を聞かせてくれるわ。
天気良くなって戻ってくるの待つ。明日まで待つ。天気良くなるまで待つ。
さっきはほんの少しの間だけどマリアとっても楽しそうだった。これからも今みたいに遊んであげてね。冗談は選んで。
Aunt Rosa winked at me, giggling a little. She's a real mother, I thought to myself, who's happy to see Maria having fun.
おいローザ、それにガキどもも何やってんだ。行くぞ。
はいはい、今行きます。
The old bastard was waving for us to hurry up. Yeah, we needed to get moving. We might as well have this conversation after setting our luggage down in our rooms.
それでは皆様、お泊まりのゲストハウスの方へご案内させていただきます。どうぞこちらへ。
Koda-san called to everyone and led the way. Kumasawa-san brought up the rear. A serpentine twisting path led through a dim forest. It ran a bit of hill. I guess the path was made all twisty so the slope wouldn't seem too steep. Personally, I'd been happier if they had the guts to make the stairs a straight line. No doubt they made the path twist on purpose to put an airs of distance and importance. Before long, we saw the garden-style stone steps. From here on, I do have some memories. Go up these and... building. At the top of the stone steps, we saw a beautiful guest house. The guests who ascended up the stairs are greeted by a beautiful rose garden that they talk about a lot. The siblings of the family do more of the usual, insulting each other. Maria, while mimicking dual humans' actions, stumbles upon a wilting rose and immediately forms an attachment to it. George suggests looking after the rose till they leave and wraps a candy wrapper around it so they can find it later.
ジョージ兄さんって昔っから包容力があるよな。
Bro, George is so great. I can't believe George is so incredibly great, guys. George is great. Everyone sticks around in the garden for a bit before heading towards the guest house, only to...
Well? Oi! Kanon-kun yanai-ka! Sashiburi ya na! Genki ka?
Uncle Hideyoshi suddenly shouted. In the direction he was waving was a slender boy. Meeting him right after a huge man like Oda probably emphasizes his small stature. The boy was in the middle of transporting piled up gardening tools and the like in a wheelbarrow. When he realized he was being called to stop, he set down the wheelbarrow and took off his hat and bowed his head.
Konnichiwa.
I figured he was probably younger than me, and I realized by the general atmosphere surrounding him that he was another servant. He greeted us in response to Uncle Hideyoshi's call, but he seemed like he might be pretty unsociable most of the time. It was a greeting that lacked feeling. When Goda-san noticed that our interest had shifted towards him, he went to the boy's side and introduced him to us.
バトラ様、ご紹介いたします。後宮本家にお仕えしております使用人の一人です。加納さん、お客様にご挨拶を。
はじめまして、使用人のカノンです。
Yep, my first impression wasn't wrong. He seemed to be unsociable, or at least not so good at talking. Compared to Goda-san, who was extraordinarily polished as a servant, I couldn't help but feel an inexperience typical of his age. When Goda-san urged him in a whisper to give a bit more of an introduction, the boy named Kanon cast his eyes downwards.
カノンさん、もう少し何か挨拶することはできませんか？
いえ、僕たちは家具ですから。
He didn't seem to be refusing to greet us out of spite. Rather, he seemed to have fallen silent because he didn't know what else to say to us in a greeting.
カノン君は寡黙でさ、余計なおしゃべりはしない性分なんだよ。愛想は少し悪いけど、根はいい人なんだぜ。誤解しないで。ここに勤めて3年になるんだっけ。確かゴーダさんより1年長いんだよな、カノン。
Even though he wasn't exactly giving a terrible first impression, Jessica hurriedly backed him up. I see, apparently his unsociable nature causes him trouble a lot.
そっか。よろしくな。俺はバトラ。18だけど、君はいくつだい?
He fell silent as though wondering whether or not it was a question he'd have to answer. But here again, Jessica plowed ahead.
確か私たちの2つ下だから16だったよな。はい、そうです。
It looked like he would have preferred to not tell us his age if given the choice. That was probably because he thought we'd look down on him for it. I remember that when I was around his age, I hated being asked how old I was by adults. I see, 16, huh? It's gotta be a delicate time. Which means I probably asked something I shouldn't have.
近いとして嬉しいぜ。気さくにバトラって呼んでくれよな。俺も君のことはカノンって呼ぶ。
ありがとうございます。お気持ちだけで結構です。バトラ様。
Jessica looked panicky for some reason. She seemed to think my impression of Kanon was getting worse with his refusal. Well, as a girl, Jessica couldn't understand the fretful male heart at this age. As his elder, even just by 2 years, I took it upon myself to be understanding of that.
カノンさん、もう少し愛想よくはできませんか？笑顔も使用人の義務ですよ。
申し訳ありません。努力します。
ゴーダさん、カノン君もいろいろ頑張ってるんですよ。
It looked like he was often warned about being unsociable. And apparently, he hadn't improved one bit. Goda kept his business smile, but let a small sigh of resignation escape.
それではまだ仕事がありますので、失礼します。
It looked like Kanon himself wasn't comfortable with remaining silent here any longer. After another perfunctory bow, he turned around and started pushing the wheelbarrow again. Just then, the wheelbarrow suddenly wobbled and fell, scattering the load. I guess the wheelbarrow's single wheel got caught on a pebble and lost its balance.
何をしてるんですか？ささ、早く片付けて。
Goda-san urged him to hurry up in a quiet voice, as though hinting that it was shameful for a servant to appear clumsy in front of guests. Kanon-kun wordlessly reloaded the wheelbarrow with the fallen objects, as if to say he understood quite well without being told. He seemed to be fine with the light-looking gardening tools, shovels and such, but he looked like he was having trouble getting his arms around and lifting up some of the sacks of fertilizer.
大丈夫かよ。そそっかしいな。ほら、
お嬢様、お召し物が汚れます。ここはお任せください。
With a smooth motion, Goda-san took the shovel that Jessica had just picked up. Behind him, Canon-kun was having trouble with the sacks of fertilizer.
お召し物が汚れる。
安心しろよ。俺が着てるのはそんなお上品なものじゃねえぜ。それによ、俺はレストランで落ちたフォークをウェイトレスに拾わせるってやつが大嫌いなんだ。
Battler for women's rights 2026. I lifted up the other bags that had fallen. Of course, they weren't light, but for me it was a piece of cake. Canon looked at me surprised. It was the face of someone who never would have expected to receive help from a guest.
バトラ様、結構です。僕が全てやりますので。
気にすんな。こう見えても鍛え方が違うぜ。
結構重いね。カノン君が苦労するのも無理はないよ。カノン君、気にしないで。
これぞ俺の見せ場さ。これでさっきの船の分はチャラだよな。
この程度のことじゃさっきの大騒ぎが帳消しになるもんかよ。カノン君にも後で教えてやるよ。バトラったら面白いんだぜ。
落ちる落ちる。
お見苦しいところをお見せして申し訳ございませんでした。
笹も結構ですよ。言ってください。
Letting the guests who were supposed to feel welcome see such a disgraceful thing must have been hideously embarrassing for a servant. Pressed by Gota to hurry up and go, Kanon-kun left.
ゴーダさんもいじめすぎよ。意地悪言わないで、あなたも手伝えばよかったんじゃない？
これは至りませんで、誠に申し訳ございませんでした。
Without even a twitch in his smile, Goda-san apologized elegantly. It's interesting because nobody in this family is showing any flaws in how they act right now. Is it because they're with each other and have to upkeep some social class? There's gotta be something wrong about one of these motherfuckers. There's gotta be. But what? We headed towards the trim, elegantly shid, simple guest house. This was gonna be our temporary quarters for the night. Canon watched over a hedge as the guests all entered the guest house. Then he let his eyes fall on those heavy sacks of fertilizer piled up in the wheelbarrow. In his mind, he kept going over his previous mistake. Battler, big and strong, had picked up the sacks in front of him. The sacks Canon couldn't lift himself, as if they were feathers. It would be extremely difficult for an outside observer to guess what emotions and what favor had stirred up in Canon. But as far as you could tell by watching him hang his head, there was something that he just couldn't let go of. Muttered words escaped his lips. Those words he murmured were so soft that they didn't reach his own ears. Canon hung his head, slowly biting his lip. With everyone entering the guest house is where we will leave it here. I love visual novels having hooks 5 hours in. That's my favorite thing.